Okay folks, this will be a challenging one. It's going to be what we call a roly-poly, and it's going to be a difficult one. It's narrow. It's a narrow cylinder, so it's going to be really hard to control the movement of this. It's easier when they're wider in diameter. So let's see how we go with this. I think we're going to just leave it on 141.4. I don't know if that's the right size. Don't know what colour we're going to give it. Maybe aquamarine. Oh yeah, I'll be getting my 5th COVID jab coming this Wednesday. I forgot the exact date it is. It's this Wednesday coming up from this Sunday. So hopefully, yeah, it'll go well. I won't get too sick on it. But, you know, you get that when you get the jab, and it's worth it though. Yeah, enough of that. Let's see how we got here. We got here. Good old Barocca Energy. So we got Barocca Energy. I had this when I was having diarrhea to keep me hydrated. It's really quite nice. Actually, it's not the nicest thing. It's not as nice as you'd expect it to taste, Barocca, but it's quite satisfying. I don't know if that was a happy accident or not. That didn't roll very well. We'll just see if it was a happy accident, one of those, which I like. Even though I don't like it, the process of it being... well, that's interesting. I don't know if it's quite a happy accident, but I can see a nice curvature. Looks interesting, but not quite what I'm after. We might use it. It might make a nice minimalist mirror image. We might be able to get something out of that. It's going to be very minimalist though, folks. If you're a fucking minimalist appreciator, I do wonder if maybe I'm going to do another one. I'm just thinking about it, folks. Sometimes I just take a while to think. I am a bit of an overthinker sometimes, folks. I do overthink a lot of things. That might have come up with something. But yeah, I am a bit of an overthinker, analyst, perhaps. And that's come up looking what we pretty well want. I think we got most of that Barocca shit in, plus some extra detail. It's not the greatest piece. It looks a bit boring. I do think it is boring. So I'm actually thinking maybe we'll run with that piece here. It's just a tough one to choose, folks. So many choices and so many things in life that can be like this. There are so many things that we have to choose in life, and sometimes we try to choose what is best, and sometimes it turns out to be a fucking train wreck, and you just wonder what the fuck is worth, what the fuck on earth it's worth it, you know, that you end up trying to overthink something like I do, and then finding out that it turns out to be a fucking train wreck, and you just have no control over the outcome, however much you try your hardest to make a rational decision, and the decision turns out to be the most irrational piece of shit that you could ever imagine, and it's just so fucking hard dealing with it, you know, dealing with the consequences and not... And it's difficult, folks, but we all have to try our best. And even with overthinking, you can't always overthink enough. And I've made some big blunders in my life, folks, and I'm trying to win back what I fucked up and try to make it into something good, maybe. And that's come up looking quite interesting. Looks quite overthought, quite analytical, you might say. It looks a bit shitty, but I think I got the right positioning for it. I'm sure some arty-farty people might appreciate this type of work. Someone who's really into maybe overthinking artistically. Yeah, maybe an overthought piece, this one. It might be, indeed, an overthought piece of shit. Okay, we're just getting a bit silly now. We've got to fucking be silly sometimes to deal with things that are fucked up. You know, you got to fucking laugh at things sometimes. You got to fucking laugh at it, take the piss out of it, whatever, folks. And that's come up looking interesting. The colour looks a bit shitty. I was hoping the orange would become more orange, but that looks interesting. The Barocca container looks like it's got a bit of a wishy-washy hint of the magenta that we put into it. I don't know if I like it, folks. I actually think I might try something different. Gonna switch. No, what are we doing? Fuck it. Shits. We've got to darken it. That's what we have to do. Got to darken it because we're on negative positive mode. Of course, that's what we normally do when we're working with this. Maybe the hue could go in the opposite direction because we're not photocopying models or pictures of models or pictures of people. We're doing something different. That setting normally works for pictures of people, but we didn't have it on dark enough anyway, and that's come up looking more red, the background. I don't like it now. I actually think I might try changing it back, some of it. I do think the magenta does blend too much with that now. Fuck, you just can't win. You just can't win, folks. You just can't fucking win with this shit sometimes. I'm going to put it back here and see what happens. Maybe we'll just see what we get. Yeah, looks a bit more interesting with the magenta. The magenta looks like it's not blending as much with the background, background of this. I'm going to use one of these as a master copy, and we're going to maybe this. Just trying to decide which version we're going to utilise as a master copy. Maybe that one. Maybe this wishy-washy, shitty version could look decent, better than what we imagined. So we're just going to be brave and remove this and put this one in its place. Yeah, photocopier art isn't always easy, folks. You've got to realise that. You can see that it's often a lot of overthinking, a lot of fucking around, a lot of pissing around, whatever words, expletive words you can think of to deal with this shit. Because it can be a lot of shit at times. Now we're going to switch to dot matrix and see what we get. And let's see how this piece of shit is going to evolve. I do think maybe I'm going to switch off this magenta. We'll leave it on for now and see what we get. Maybe we can do some work maybe here and see what else we might do. Maybe some of that red could stay, and maybe we're going to take out some of that hue. See how we go. 10 minutes and counting, just over. And that's how we're going, and this looks interesting. I like the background, but I don't like that. I don't like the colour in that, to be honest, folks. And maybe magenta is going to blend a bit too much. I might change that as well, the background colour. Maybe yellow, I think the happy colour, what I refer to colloquially as the happy colour. Yellow, the happy colour, the colour of happiness, the colour of cheer. And maybe we're going to add back some of that hue, and we're just going to change that to yellow and see what we get. Yeah, Barocca. Tastes a bit, it's got a bit of a vitamin B taste, which I think it's loaded with vitamin B. And that's come up looking quite interesting, actually. And I like the yellow bit up there in some ways. Just moving these out of the way. I still don't like it 100%. I do think maybe that's a little bit too dark and that's a bit too green. Maybe we'll leave it like that. It still looks like it's worth something, maybe. Someone might like it, folks. Someone might just, or maybe we'll just try and see what happens if we take out the dot matrix, because it might be darkening it a bit, making it a bit too blacky in some places. Let's just try it. It's experimentation, folks. Photocopier art in many ways is still about experimentation and trying this and trying that and seeing this and seeing that, suck it and see, or sock it and see, whatever. And that's come up looking better, actually. I like that green better, and that colours look better, so maybe that was it. The dot matrix wasn't suitable for this. I do think we might do something else with that. So we're just going to remove this, and we're going to utilise this as our next stage. I don't know if that's going to work, folks, but we're just going to try it. And I've still got that song in my head. I wanna hold your hand. I got it from the supermarket, folks, for your information. For your information, that's where I got it from. I'm going to leave it like that and see what happens. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm just flying with it, just winging it, folks. And that's come up looking quite interesting. I like it in some ways, but in some ways I don't. Maybe we'll put dot matrix and see if the dot matrix will add a bit of contour to the light bits, because sometimes dot matrix is indeed a very interesting piece that you can utilise when you're really getting close to the grindstone and there's nothing else that's going to work to make your image look that interesting, even though it's designed, of course, for dot matrix print, which is extremely light, and that's where it got its name from, not anywhere else. And that's come up looking interesting, but I'm still not happy with it. I don't know what to do with this one, folks. Don't know what to do with it, folks, to be honest. This one's frustrating me, folks. Maybe we'll switch off the negative positive. I'm just trying, I was going to see what was under there. Going to see what happens if we just replicate it. See how we go, folks. yeah, that's come up looking quite interesting. It looks a bit darker than the original version. I don't know if I like it better than this version's the dot matrix, one of the dot matrix versions of before. I don't like that dot matrix piece. I don't know if I like this, but it's got more character. I do wonder if maybe we're going to run with this. It's not the greatest piece that I've made. I must admit it's not something I'm really proud of. It's not the best one on earth. But you got to realise, folks, that when I'm demoing with stuff that's not designed for replication like this. It's not designed to be art. It's commercial, folks. It's full on advertising. It's full on commercialism. It's nothing more, nothing less than money fuckery and how to make a product look more appealing to the customer. It's got nothing to do with art. It's got nothing to do with creativity except to make more money, to create more revenue. That's all it is, folks. It's money fuckery. And I like to utilise this shit. You know, just as much as Andy Warhol back in, I think it was the 70s, whenever it was. I'm not an expert on that shit, on that art history crap, but basically he was the father of pop art. And he created a lot of stuff, including a painting where he slavishly reproduced, or maybe slightly altered, I don't know, some Campbell soup cans. And that was one of his famous works. And he did all sorts of things with pictures of Marilyn Monroe and all that sort of shit. But he did also Brillo pads, and not pads as in sanitary pads, but scrubbing pads. He did pictures of Brillo pads and shit like that you find in the supermarket. So basically this is just a similar take, except I'm using the photocopier and it's decades later, and I'm trying to make myself recognised as an artist in my own right. I'm not slavishly out to replicate Andy Warhol. I just used him as a classic example of what people can do with commercial products when products are not designed to be replicated or creative. And that's come up looking quite interesting. I think we can now call this demo quits.